Welcome back to Digital Champions here on Daily Ad Brief. I'm Howard Walpoff, your host. Again, we're talking about digital marketing around the country. And today we're in Malibu, California with Ike Fontaine of Future Media. And Ike, welcome to our conversation today.
Hey, Howard, how are you?
Good. We're excited to have you and learn more about the things that you are doing. But before we get started, why don't you share with us a little bit of how you got started in the marketing industry in general, but obviously we're going to start leaning towards podcasts in our conversation, and how you got started with podcasting.
Yeah, quick story would be recording artist turned digital marketer, and then just kind of leveraged a lot of those skills over the years into really just fell into it. Like I was working with probably hundreds of different entrepreneurs and business owners, and a lot of them were doing content marketing, organic content marketing, and podcasting was one of the things that just kind of like snuck out, and I just started to dive in, and here we are as I run an agency and teach people how to do it.
So what is it to you that is so important about podcasting? What is it that companies really get the value from being in a podcast, whether as a host or as a guest?
I focus a lot of the work that I do and a lot of the recommendations around community, honestly. Like in a world that moves so fast with a lot of options, I think people need a place to be, and they need a place to feel heard, and also just get the value that they're looking for. So in terms of podcasting, it's an excellent long form piece of content ecosystem, right? So building community is a big thing that I think people need to pay attention to.
And communities are very important, and finding that right community that speaks the same language and speaks to the topics that you're focused and interested on really can bring great value. And a lot of these podcasts bring incredible value to the hosts and really generate business as well for these companies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a big thing that I focus on is creating funnels through a lot of the podcasts that I create. So it's not only about audience acquisition or finding new listeners to consume, but then it's also creating a pipeline or a client journey for those people to follow on the podcast and then turn into prospectives or buyers.
Which is obviously some great added value you're bringing to your clients who really have a story to tell but have no idea how to deal with the back end pieces of a funnel, or much less how to record and edit and get all the ums out so that they sound like a coherent speaker, as opposed to someone who is still thinking about their thoughts as their words are rolling off their tongue.
Yeah, exactly.
So what kind of conversations are you having with your clients who want to get started in podcasting and trying to figure out how to tell their story?
Yeah, I mean, the types of conversations, they vary, but for the most part, a lot of people who, when they're first starting out, the conversations are focused a lot about their brand and their impact and the mission that they're trying to do with their business. And what we do is we kind of custom tailor this media ecosystem or this platform, podcasting, to that mission. Sometimes it can be a bit of a process to try to find something that's inherently unique and has a really competitive edge within the entire ecosystem, but it's super possible. I'm going to do it all the time. So yeah, a lot of those initial conversations focused around like, hey, how can we create this so it doesn't take up 10 hours of time a day and only takes up 2? How can we create formats that are, rinse and repeat? And how can, we help you build a team or a support system around you so you can kind of set it and forget it. You can show up once a week or twice a week and record the content, and everything else just like clicks and goes for you.
Which really, to some people, is a dream come true. It makes things so much easier in that process and having it all scheduled that way, especially when you're helping to bring in the quality people that they can be speaking to. Now, with podcasts, there are a lot of different places that people can hear podcasts. Do you think it's important to be just on one of those providers, or is it more important to spread it out because you don't know where people are going to find you?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting about podcasting is it's a bit different than our traditional content landscape. So when we think about TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or Pinterest or an email list, those are all very bifurcated areas, right? So you have to kind of be on each one to do something, or you have to repurpose to each one. What's unique about podcasting is using, it's an RSS feed system. So all that means is you open up a distributor to host your content. You can actually program it to send your content or your episodes to every single podcasting platform on the internet. You got to pay attention to do that, but it's very possible. So to answer your question is, yes, hell yeah, you should be on every podcasting platform. I think it gets down to speaking to your target audience, being very particular about your community and your mission and how you're here to solve people's problems, and just being consistent. And if you can do that, you're in the top 1% of podcasters in terms of communicating that mission.
It's so very true, and trying to make sure that you are a unique voice out there, and really sharing within these communities really helps you stand out in podcasting and really making a difference and making people move, whether it's emotionally or to be part of your client list in the end game, especially with the funnels you're developing. So we thank you so much for sharing everything that you're doing, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, Howard.
And thank you all for joining us as well. If you haven't listened to a podcast, you should. If you can find the right ones that are for the topics that mean something to you, whether it's business-wise or personal. If you have not been a guest on a podcast, there's so many podcasts that are just dying for guests. It's a great way to get your message out to a different audience. And if you haven't started podcasting yet, you really should consider it, because it's a really great way to tell your story. There's a lot of great information what Future Media is doing here on Daily Ad Brief, so please check that out. But go out, have a great rest of today, and I'll see you next time on Digital Champions.